Good morning, everybody, and welcome into Morning in the Word. I'm glad that you've joined us today. Today we're in Matthew, the 14th chapter. And from the looks of it, it's going to be another absolutely beautiful day. I hope that you have plans that you're excited about and are looking forward to another great day that God has dialed up for us. Today in this chapter, what we're going to be specifically noting is Jesus's response to interruptions. Jesus's response to invasions on his time and his space. This is particularly interesting to me in this chapter because this is an area that, frankly, I think most of us are not very good in. And it's an area that I will definitely say that I'm not very good in. It is something that I find myself struggling with. When I am stressed, when I am anxious, when I have things on my mind, I am less capable, less competent of dealing with other people. And I want my time alone. I want to have opportunity to refresh and to think and to just relax and get away. And that's especially true when my mind is troubled, when I have great burdens on my mind. In this chapter, we're going to see that Jesus receives some terrible news. In fact, this is the worst day of his ministry to date and probably one of the worst days of his life. The news that he receives is really heartbreaking and difficult for him. I think we tend to underestimate the love that he had for John. Go back and think about some of the ways that he spoke of John. None greater, born to woman. I mean, he had enormous admiration for him, but not just admiration for his skill as a servant of God or his passion or his zeal. But I think also we have to take into account that this is family. This is a blood relative. This is someone that he's known, in a manner of speaking, known before he was born. Because while Jesus uniquely knew everybody before they were born, even in the womb, and Jesus and John had a special connection. So put yourself in this scene a little bit. Think about things through his vantage point. Think about how he's feeling at the beginning of this chapter. How's this news hitting him? How is this revelation affecting him? And then look at what he's thrust into. Look at the reality of the day that he had, a day that I'm sure he would have liked to have spent in reflection and rest and trying to cope and deal with the grief. But he didn't have that option. That wasn't given to him as a possibility. Instead, we see him trying to get away, trying to find some quiet time, trying to get off by himself, to be able to kind of just reflect and refresh, but the crowds follow. And note how he deals with the crowds. Specifically this phrase, he saw them. They were like sheep without a shepherd. He had compassion on them. He had compassion on them. At a time when I am the most likely to be annoyed by people is probably the time that I need to be the most compassionate for them. And this is a great reminder for me. At times when people's appeals and needs and voices their hands are grabbing at me, literally sometimes in the case of children, it's so easy to be irritated and to be annoyed and to think, don't you know what I have to do? Don't you know where I am? Don't you understand what I'm feeling? But Jesus doesn't. He sets all that aside. He says, I'm going to focus on your needs, and I see your needs. And when I look at your needs, it brings compassion out of me. Maybe that's a key. Maybe that's a key for me and my irritability on the demands of others, is to look and see what their needs are and to get outside of myself for a minute and to focus on what other people are dealing with. Well, Jesus was able to do that. And I wish I could say that it was just that one-time event, but they hung around all day long. The people hung around all day long to the point that they were starving, they were hungry, and the apostle said, they got to go eat. Send them home so they can go eat. And Jesus said, you know what, I see that need, and I have compassion for their hunger, and I'm going to take care of that too. And so longer they stayed and enjoyed the meal, and And the disciples got to enjoy the leftovers. But even then, when he finally looks like he's going to get some time to himself, the crowds finally go away, he finally gets an opportunity. It's finally his time. A storm kicks up over the sea. And once again, he goes down to show the apostles who are lacking in their faith the reasons that they should trust. It's an amazing story. It's an amazing story, and one that I think really does help us to understand how we should deal with those times of irritation, replacing our own focus on ourselves and what we're missing out on and what our needs are with the needs of others, and finding the same kind of compassion that Jesus had. Let's try to do that today. Let's look for opportunities to have Jesus-like compassion in a situation where otherwise we would just feel irritation. I hope you have a wonderful Thursday, and we'll see you back in here tomorrow.